Good morning and welcome to this Breakfast with Brand Quad in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be with you this morning, but I'm delighted that you're able to join Eva and the team and really think a little bit about what brand means to your business and to the East Africa region and how you might use 2012 to enhance your brand competitiveness. I think at times like these, especially at the start of a year, there's many reflections about the year that's passed and some thoughts about the year that's coming. It's also a time, I'm not sure if you've received many of these, but I've received many trends for 2012. And so what I thought might be interesting this morning as you enjoy your breakfast and think a little bit about the coming year is for me to pick out one or two of those trends that I think are most important when you reflect on your brands and the role that brands play in business. Two trends that really struck me over the break that have been discussed a little bit in the literature. The one is around gamification, and the other is the importance of women in brands. So let me talk a little bit about gamification. And what the academics and practitioners are seeing more and more is that consumers these days want to be more engaged. They want to experience something. They want to participate. They don't just want to be passive receivers of a brand's message. They want to engage with that brand. They want it to feel as if it is their brand. And I guess one area of life that most consumers and human beings feel that is sport. And so what's happening more and more with sports brands and with non-sports brands is that brand owners are starting to build in the elements of game, the elements of competition within their brands. And so whether it's about winning a certain number of points or having a certain kind of label, we see on Facebook at the moment the role of badges and how if you complete certain things linked to a brand, you earn a certain badge. And people are very proudly putting this up on their Facebook profile. One of the examples that I think is very interesting is MTN's Last Fan Standing campaign. And so over the last 3 or 4 years, you may know about MTN's work across Africa as a telecommunications giant. And what they did around their soccer sponsorship, initially in South Africa and then across the continent around the World Cup, was to think about how do they get fans involved. And so they ran competitions that created an opportunity for really passionate fans to demonstrate what they knew about their team and to become essentially the last fan standing. And so during the MTN 8 soccer competition here in South Africa, they were able to recruit different fans and they were able to run the competition. And essentially they came out at the end just before the World Cup in early 2010 with one last fan standing. And Tulani Ngobo was that fan for Kaizer Chiefs and for the country. And he got an opportunity during the World Cup to travel to, I think it was 30 odd games during the World Cup and broke the Guinness World Record for the number of games watched by one person during a tournament. And that was all linked to MTN. Of course, he had a Twitter account, he was on Facebook, he was in the media, and it gave MTN fans and soccer fans an opportunity really to engage with that brand. So I think as we start 2012, the opportunity is to think about what does gamification mean for our brands? Which of our consumers, which of our customers are really, in tune with this idea of a competitive connection to their brand, and how can we as brand owners build that into our brand? What kind of competitions, campaigns can we develop where the fans of the brand, the fans of the team or the fans of whatever consumer brand can think about how they can be more engaged and more experience more around their brand. So I think that's one trend to look at for 2012, and it'll be interesting to see how brand owners across Africa think about how they use that during this year. Another quick one I want to mention is the role of women, and we've seen this over the last few years, more and more recognition, typically by the men running brands, about how important the woman consumer is for most brands across most categories. A number I love to talk about in the classroom and in the sessions is the importance of women in buying automotives or in cars. And typically, if you go into most dealerships, they're not set up for women at all, and the car salesmen look down at women and they're not able really to engage with the woman consumer. But increasingly we see that over 50% of purchases of new vehicles are driven either directly by women purchasers or indirectly, where most guys in the room would admit that their significant other had a significant role to play in deciding which vehicle was purchased. I think as we head into 2012, those demographics continue to shift and brand owners need to look even more at the role of the woman consumer And so the question in terms of branding is, to what extent is your brand positioned to that broader demographic? Does your brand come across as an exclusive male brand, as unfortunately many brands do across most categories? Or have you really tapped in to understand your target market? And if those demographics are continuing to shift, to what extent does your brand equally communicate something that's appealing to both genders? So gamification and women, and the games that both of those will play, I guess, during 2012. Two trends that I think heading into this year will be interesting to see how brands play out. So as you enjoy the rest of your breakfast, I wish you luck for the year. I look forward to seeing you in Nairobi soon. I know Eva and the team will talk about the calendar for the year and the wonderful sessions that we've got planned during 2012, and I hope you and your team will be able to take advantage of this as you build your brand during the coming year.